everyone. Welcome back to Riding with the Rabbi. I got a hat on. This is really, really exciting. As you know, I did in Israel, we did a show in a fire truck. Now, look who's driving. Say hello to Mendel. This is one of the two new Hatsola ambulances that we have here in Livingston and West Orange. What an incredible event for our community. I'm here with Shel Sokolowski. Did I say that right?
You got it.
So we've known each other for quite a long time. He spent Shabbos in my house in Atlantic Beach a million years ago, a different period of his life. Shel, let me ask you a question. How many people in your community are named Shel?
I am the only one that I know of in North America.
Okay. And Mendel Rosenblum, we know. Mendel, how many people in your community are named Mendel?
A lot.
Okay, probably a few more. Anyway, these are two of our excellent volunteers, and Shel was part of one of the founding members of Hatzola in West Orange and Livingston.
Sure.
How come West Orange is first?
It's a great question. We get asked that all the time.
I'm just going alphabetically, of course.
Yeah, one of the answers I like to give is if we were Hatzalah of WOL, we would never be able to say it. So we call ourselves Hatzalah of WOL. WOL.
Fair enough. I almost accept that. Now tell me the genesis. How did Hatzala come to be here in West Orange and Livingston?
Sure, yeah. So, when you think about the last probably 10 years or so, both of our communities in West Orange and Livingston have really, experienced very, very significant growth. Along with that growth, I think, came demand for, other traditional chesed type organizations within the community, of which Hatzala is one of them. When I moved in about 5 years ago with Matthew Littman and Elon Rosenrauch, Josh Comer's been here for a number of years, all of us, previous Hatzala volunteers, we start to get calls on our personal phones. Hey, my son fell outside, would you mind taking a look? My mother came to visit for Shabbos and isn't feeling well, can you check her out? And at some point we looked at each other and said, we need to make this more formal, and we were happy to put all the pieces in motion to get where we are today.
That's amazing. And is Hatzala a national organization? Is it independent? Are you franchised? How does that work?
Great question. So Hatzala started in Brooklyn, probably about 60 years ago now. We are an affiliate of Chevra Hatzala, which is the OG Hatzala organization, which encompasses the 5 boroughs of New York City, Long Island, and the Catskills. And so, there are a number of Hatzalas all around the country, from LA to Detroit to Dallas and Florida, all the way up here on the East Coast. And we're excited to be one of the newest branches in New Jersey in a number of years.
Now, this is a question maybe you get asked a lot, maybe not. I know I've heard this question a lot. What's the difference between Hatzala, or is there a relationship between Hatzala and, let's say, United Hatzala that we know about in Israel?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, Israel does have 2 EMS organizations operating right now.
United Hatzala and the other one.
Right, and the other one. So, we don't make any commentary, political or otherwise, on those.
Ellie Beer is a dear friend of mine, so I love him to death. So what are you going to say?
Hey, Ellie, for when he sees the video, right?
Yeah. So but we're not. America and Hatzala is not affiliated.
Correct. That's right.
Okay.
We're independent.
Okay. Now, you have unanimous, to my knowledge, you had immediate unanimous support from all the rabbis in the community. Correct?
Yeah. Thank God. It's definitely an initiative and a mission that I think you and others, thank God, have all coalesced around, and it was amazing to get that kind of consensus, in a matter of hours.
But I'm told, and I've heard, kind of shushkering around, that there are some people that were not for it. Is that true? And
yeah,
why,
right.
Why wouldn't they be? And what can we say to that?
Yeah, look, I think there were a couple of things. One of them is, and this is a very typical response. We have 911, so why do we need Hatzala? And I will say, in fairness, and I can speak, more particularly to West Orange, we have a number of folks who, are more out of town type folks who, don't have experience and didn't, live or work in places with Hatzala organizations. And so, to understand kind of the points of differentiation between Hatzala and 911, we definitely needed to spend, I think, a good bit of time, up front, probably just educating on, what makes Hatzala unique and special.
Okay. But you do work in concert with, let's say, the local townships and the local EMS, correct? We
do. Interestingly enough, in New Jersey, you can sort of just hang up a shingle, wake up one day and say, hey, we're here. We could have done that. We chose not to. We spent time with local government in Livingston and West Orange, with the fire and police chiefs, with the town council, with the town manager, really making sure that, we understood the way that, one another operates, kind of define those ways of working, and just got on the same page in terms of how we would proceed together.
Well, that was something that was very important, I know, to our community, is that, we have a very healthy relationship with the political entities here, and also with police and fire, etc. As a matter of fact, now I have to complete the trifecta. I have to do a show in a police car, but hopefully in the front seat, not the back seat. But we have to. It's important for us that obviously we have to make a Kiddush Hashem no matter what it is that we do. Sure. And I think we're off to a great start. And I think that, look, if there are issues that people are concerned with, I think people could probably get involved and maybe work from the inside out. I mean, let's have it here first, and let's see how well it works, and people will realize those bumps and bruises and those Shabbos scrapes. And you've been live now for what, 5 days?
Yeah, it's been about a week. We already have a couple of calls under our belt, unfortunately. Some more on the less serious and benign side, and some on the more critical side. I think when we sort of look back at all of our calls and we do kind of quality on them and do checks, we're happy to see that Hatzala is operating the way it was intended. In other words, the folks that responded were there, on the site of the call, responded within seconds, rapidly transported the patient to the hospital, and provided a high quality level of care, which is really what it's all about.
And I know for years and years that your volunteers are extremely dedicated, to the point that we almost make fun of them. But not Mendel. Mendel, tell me, how many years, how long have you been doing Hatzala? You've been involved in this, you do this kind of work all the time.
Yes. So this is my first time joining Hatala, but I've been an EMT for 2 years almost.
For 2 years in Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
You've been to Brooklyn? You know where Brooklyn is?
Just a bit.
A little bit, okay. And how would you compare, let's say, your EMT work to what's going on here? Kind of suburban EMT work versus city EMT work. Probably fewer cars to have to run around. Maybe it's a little easier. I don't know.
It's completely different.
Completely different. Okay, but we're lucky to have you. Also, your whole crew, I think, of volunteers are extremely experienced, and are you training new volunteers? Is that opportunity going to present itself?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're sort of like chetzi. We had 12 folks that went through EMT classes in West Orange and Livingston, and then we have probably another 12 or 13 who are veterans. Who have, I would say, 15 to 25 or 30 years, alone on Hatzala. And so we have that nice mix of, sort of the old guard and the new guard, and a great opportunity to, lead by example and provide the kind of mentorship that, folks new to the organization would want to have.
Okay, so how if somebody wanted to get involved, who's the person to contact?
Yeah, so, you can reach out to me directly. The easiest way to do that is to go to our website, which is Hatzalah, all A's, HATZALAHWOL, like we talked about, .org. There's an email address on the website. Shoot us an email. Happy to talk about anything you like anytime. Many different ways to get involved and volunteer, and it would be our pleasure to have you.
But what if, let's say, people are not they don't love blood and guts type? I'm one of them, by the way. Strangely enough, for what I do, I get squeamish at a bris, although I'm getting better. Used to be that when the guy would take out the bag, I would pass out. Anyway, I'm getting a lot better. But let's say people are not in the volunteer mode, but they wanted to support Hatsola. Sure. Can you tell us what are some of the needs right now, and how can people get involved?
Sure. So a couple different ways. So there are dispatching opportunities available. We do all of our own dispatching. So that means.
And where's that based? Where's the dispatch?
Yeah. So that's based wherever people live. So we give them a remote setup and a full training. You would answer calls from a private place in your house. You would dispatch them over the radio. So that's one opportunity. There are other opportunities that are non-clinical in nature, like marketing, fundraising, public relations, and stocking the ambulances. There's a lot in between. And then of course, we always benefit from financial support. We have a lot of sponsorship opportunities available. From a oxygen tank, all the way up to a first response vehicle and everything in between. So
can you get a plaque on an oxygen tank?
A plaque? We can't put a plaque on an oxygen tank, but we can definitely do a sticker.
I bet you could figure something out. You know what they call Israel? They call it a Plakistine.
What do they call it?
Plakistine.
A plaque stock?
Plakistine.
A Plakistine.
Because of all the plaques. But okay, so what? Let's say are the immediate needs. I mean, since you're, we say kolas kashas, all beginnings are difficult. Sure. So this is the, right in the beginning. We have these two beautiful. Can I say bus? Can I be cool and say, oh, we got the bus?
You got the bus.
Yeah, we have two buses. By the way, they have all kinds of really cool stuff here. As you can see, there's control panel. You have a wig-wag button. That's the thing I'm told that makes the lights go on and off. Siren horn, left flood, right flood, rear flood. and I'm telling you, it's taking all of my control of my Yetzer Hara not to hit those while we're driving. There are probably some sort of laws against it, right? And you're not, and another halacha in New Jersey, you can't have a cherry in your car, right? Or
That's a great question. So in New Jersey, you can have a blue light, but no sirens and no red. So different setup than New York, for sure.
So how does it work in Lakewood? You
What's
telling me
that?
in Lakewood they don't have that?
Lakewood is
Maybe it's not part of New Jersey.
Year, unto itself.
Gotcha. Anyway, so let's say, so we have these two buses, these really beautiful vehicles, and already donated, sponsored, and you'll see that the one that we're in is co-sponsored by the Lefkowitz family in memory of Zoli Lefkowitz. Of course, we remember Zoli so dearly. He was so important to our community, and we love him and miss him really so much. And so Marcy and Jeff and to the whole family, that's really a great job by you. And what are some of the other needs? I know I spoke to one of the other members. I think there's something like an emergency response vehicle, because this thing goes about 4 miles an hour. Mendel has his pedal to the metal, and seriously, we're going downhill and we're going 4 miles an hour. But these are not built for speed. These are meant for transport, because you have back here, you have the whole ambulance area, etc.
Correct.
But you have these vehicles, I think, that have to get to the scene quickly, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, like we talked about before, because, responders in New Jersey are limited to a blue light and no sirens, that blue light's called a courtesy light, right? We ask that you move over, but if you don't move over, you don't move over. That's kind of like the courtesy, excuse me, at the Kiddush before I push you away to get that last piece of kugel? Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Right, maybe you move away, maybe you don't. Either way, I guess you get the kugel. Just depends how long it takes you. So, here in Jersey, one of the benefits of having, we call them ERVs, or emergency response vehicles. Think about an Explorer with lights and sirens, right? They can't have lights and sirens. They're organization-owned vehicles. It'll allow us to, get to places, sooner, which is really, like we talked about, it's what it's all about, right? Having the right people in the right place at the right time, but to get that extra, minute or two and to have a better response, we're looking for a couple of those between the communities.
Okay, and also they probably come packed with like emergency kits, right? Like a
correct
triage kit or something, or
yes, everything that you would have on an ambulance, literally, with the exception of a stretcher, even a backboard.
You ever considered, has anybody considered using, and going back to Ellie Beer, the ambucycle method? I know in Jersey City they tried it for a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's practical because of weather and stuff here, but is that something you ever thought about?
It's a great question. It's come up a couple times, mostly, in jest. I think we do talk about it, from a weather perspective. One of the benefits of having an all-wheel drive vehicle, also means that we can pick up, responders along the way, regardless of the weather, with the exception of maybe very severe weather. And so, there are benefits of that. There are also benefits for, covering events. It might be a walk or a standby or something at school. Very easy to send over, a truck like that to hang out over there.
Right, and also I guess with the snow that we get here on these hills.
Yes.
We're talking about an SUV, I imagine, right?
Correct. Yes.
What's the cost of a vehicle like this?
Ballpark, it ranges. I would say somewhere in the vicinity, fully stocked with lights and sirens, probably around $70,000. I would say.
Folks, 70 grand. Come on, we got this. We could do this. But tell me what. There was a beautiful quote in the paper from some rabbi from Eitz Chaim of Livingston. It was in the paper last week. He talked about, in a few years or before long, they're going to say, how did we ever do without Hatzala? Look, God forbid, we should never need it. We should only use Hatala for taking people to the hospital, to have babies on Shabbos and on Yontif, something like that. And I know from communities that have Hatzala that they are better off, and it makes the community more cohesive, dare I say, more Jewish, but more on the map, and that's something that I think we can all benefit from. And it's all volunteer driven, which is just incredible. So you have these, look at this strapping young man, Mendel. We've known him since I did his bar mitzvah. And I remember his bar mitzvah, and here he is driving the bus, and he's really, really so impressive. And guys like Shale and guys who are just, and who are volunteers, they have real life. They have kids, and they have families, and they have jobs. And they're doing this not for their own glorification, they're doing this for the community. And I think this is, we just wanted to bring attention to something that's so important. And I think it's such a great plus for our ever-growing community. And, I can't thank you guys enough for stepping up. And, it's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to say, here we are, we're riding in the wigwag button bus, and we're having a grand old time. So tell me about this truck, Mendel. What model truck is this?
I have no clue.
It's a Ford. I think it's a Ford. No, it's an E. Yeah, it's an E series. It's a Ford. It's a Ford. Okay, drives like a Ford. And what do you have? What's in the back there? I know I can't really go back there now, but what's in the back there?
No, sure. So it's a 4450. It is a two-wheel drive vehicle. The back has I know we're not back here, so I'll just talk to it out loud. The back has a stretcher that we transport patients on. The crew bench that our responders, ride in, have multi-point harnesses. We put those in place because we want to make sure that we're doing everything as possible in our possibility, to keep everybody safe. We have suction units, oxygen tanks. We have a whole broad range of everything from gloves to medications like Narcan for patients who, God forbid, are having an overdose, to albuterol for patients who are having an asthma attack, all types of epinephrine, glucose for patients who are having low blood sugar, and a lot in between.
Wow. So that, you're like, this is the real deal. There's no, you can handle basically whatever emergency comes your way, and God forbid there shouldn't be any. And you should, like I said, you should be used to take women and their husbands to the hospital on Shabbos and on Yontif to have babies. Meretz Hashem. So, look, is there any last word that you think that people should know? Your dozens of viewers of this program, which will increase to maybe 15 or 16. Mom, you're watching this. Please tell your friends to watch it. What else should people know about Hatzola, West Orange, and Livingston?
Yeah, look, I think, you summed it up really well, right? Everybody that's involved in the organization does it, Lishma and L'Shem Shemayim. Nobody takes a salary. Everybody does it because they want to, be able to, be there for others when they need us the most. It is what Hatzala does, and has been very successful. Like you said, we hope we only need to take babies. Obviously, none of this is possible, including the vehicle we're on now called 901. Without generous benefactors like the Statmauer family, like the Lefkowitz family that you mentioned, and so any donation of any amount is material to us, and is incredibly meaningful. And so please continue to support us in any way that you can. And thanks for the opportunity to talk
Absolutely.
to you guys.
I'd like our shul very much to be involved and to set the example. And I think that what you guys are doing, again, is just really, really incredible. Kol hakavod. I wanted everybody to see this firsthand. As you know, this is how we roll, literally. This is how we roll. And you know what? It just takes our community to the next level. So thank you so much for spending a few minutes. We did a little bit of a longer show than normal, but I think this certainly warrants it because this is such an important entity in our community. And please make sure that you watch the shares with your friends. And the last thing, what I would recommend to people do, and I told all my kids, is to program in your favorites on your phone the number for Hatzala. It's not 911, although nothing against 911, but we have a volunteer ambulance corps here in Livingston as well, I believe. So what's your number? Let's finish off. What's the number for Hatzala?
973-604-4000.
604-4000, folks. Put that in your phones. Make sure you have that. Tell your family loved ones you're going to get stickers. You'll put stickers on your phones. In the old days when people had phones in their houses, they would do it, or they have a number on the back of your phone, but program it. And again, I want to thank you, Mendel. Thank you so much. It's really great. We get to see you more here in town, which is good. You spend a lot of time in Brooklyn. Really a nachas for us. Everybody should have a Gemar Chasima Tova, a happy, most importantly, a healthy new year. We pray for health, but this is just one of the ways that we can help ensure that people have good health by getting them the care that they need in an emergency situation as quickly and as humanely and as menschlich as possible. And it can only be brought to you by the volunteers from Hatzalah of West Orange and Livingston. Thank you so much. Have a great Shabbos.